Right now, I'm going to talk to you about something that we are all going through as photographers, and that is how to become a better photographer. If you can't leave your house, I got 4 tips coming after this.
Taylor Jackson.
Shooting 67 weddings last year.
Taylor Jackson, welcome.
So Taylor, you are well known in this community. You're an amazing photographer.
Welcome back for the second video of the day. The first video of the day is the #1 marketing thing that I've learned in photography from this entire world situation right now. It's very interesting and something that you should check out. Check that out after this video. This video right here is going to be 4 tips. The first tip is something that is just general good life advice I feel like you should kind of roll with for the rest of the time. Number 2 is something that will directly have an impact in making better images. Number 3 is something that is actually going to increase the overall quality of your images, and something that, since you have a little bit of time at your home, that it's worth doing to make your lenses as good as they can possibly be. And number 4 is the most important, and that's what's actually going to have a big effect on your business overall. So let's get into them. Number 1 is consuming great content. I guess content's a little bit like breathing. You have to breathe good content in order to exhale good photo. It's a bad analogy, but you get what I'm trying to say, that you have to surround yourself, and I feel like this kind of goes to the 5 people that you surround yourself with are going to have the most impact on your life and your business. So if you are surrounding yourself with great photographers, whether it can be digitally, it can be through podcasts, it can be through Patreon, it can be through whatever, whoever you're surrounding yourself with most is going to have a big influence in your life. So rather than spending your time watching Netflix shows that you're just really not that into, spend your time watching some good Netflix shows or consuming content that is specifically photography related. To give an example of something that had a big impact in myself, and you can even see it to this day in my career, is I watched the film War Photographer by James Notchway. I guess he didn't make the film. The film was made by somebody else, but he was the kind of the star of it. And essentially what it was a documentary that followed his work. And if you've ever seen my wedding photography, the place that I put my GoPro to actually kind of get that field of view with also getting my LCD in, it is because I completely stole it from this film, War Photographer, and ported it over into the wedding scene. I felt like it was a better way to experience the scene, and that is, I guess, like now you have the full reveal behind why I actually went out of my way to figure out how to mount my camera like that, and why I do it even though it's a little bit more annoying than just hot shoe mounting it. I feel like it gives you settings so you can actually see stuff, but 2, I feel like it immerses you in the experience a little bit better. So I learned that from James Notchway back when I might have been like 2005, 2006 when I watched that film, but it really did have a good effect on me as a photographer, and I'm very happy that I watched it. I think it's also important to watch stuff from people that you've never watched before, or just to find new cinematographers that you just really enjoy their visual style. For instance, somebody maybe like Christopher Doyle, who's somebody that you probably haven't seen pop up in just like major Hollywood features, but is definitely somebody worth checking out a lot of his work. In the Mood for Love is the first one that maybe comes to my mind, but really his entire catalog is unique and interesting. And it's not a roadmap that you're just going to be like, okay, this is what I have to do. I have to go and do all these shots. Again, your career, your business should be just pulling bits and pieces that actually fit for you. And if Christopher Doyle can inspire you to do one shot a little bit differently, or make that new portfolio image, or set up an entire shoot based around something that's been inspired you, I feel like all art kind of pays forward in that aspect, that even if you try to do something along the same lines of what he's done, it's going to come out completely different, and then that's going to inspire somebody else to create something else. So it is worth the search to find new and interesting cinematographers and photography documentaries that you haven't discovered yet. I think it's also important to go and just find films that you wouldn't traditionally watch, something maybe slower in pace like Lost in Translation, or something ridiculously faster in pace like a snowboard film by Travis Rice. I watch a lot of snowboard films. I don't snowboard a whole lot anymore, but I really just enjoy the way that they can just tell a very quick linear story, and it just feels good to watch it. The Fourth Phase is kind of the first one that comes to mind. Not necessarily for the film. The film is great, but there is a behind-the-scenes documentary that I actually probably would rank in enjoyment levels as a content creator above the actual film that they created. Both are fantastic and worth watching, I think. And again, you don't really have to be a snowboarder if you watch it from the mindset of watching how they tell a story. I think as photographers, it's important for us to learn how to tell stories in new and interesting and maybe more simplified ways. And by watching how other people tell stories, you can pull those elements and really kind of simplify the way that you tell stories. One last one, and it's unfortunate in this current time that it looks like the Formula One, the F1 season is going to be potentially canceled this year. And one of the big documentary series that I actually want to do a shout out to, actually I have two. So Ugly Delicious, David Chang, I feel like is a very, very fantastic. The way that they tell every story is definitely worth watching, even if you're not into watching food shows. I think it's really cool. And F1, I forget what it's officially called, like Race to Live or something. It's a silly name, but the F1 series on Netflix is really fantastic for just telling a story that goes so far beyond what you would just see on television if you just watch the race, and the way that they weave storylines together. And if you watch the entire season and then you watch all the behind the scenes, you can kind of have a better perspective of how they actually put together that show. And it has taught me, or I would say it has inspired me to potentially do a much larger project than I would normally do. So I have that series to thank. But again, consume good content in order to create good content. And if you have any suggestions for photography documentaries or cinematographers that are worth checking out, please put them in the comments below. I will be checking them, and hopefully if you're watching this, that you might also go to the comments to see who else you should check out. Moving into tip number 2 is actually one that I released a couple of weeks ago now, or maybe a week ago. It was the self-portrait challenge. I think it's important to learn off-camera lighting in the worst conditions, so probably within your house. If you're able to off-camera light your house and make it look very, very good, there's a pretty good chance that you can go into any commercial space and make it look good with just one light or a couple of lights. Or specifically for me, just learning how to light bad rooms really increases how good my images are in wedding photography. So overall, I feel like just learning how to light every single room in your house and lighting it in different ways. And you can do 5 or 4 very, very different images all within the same space. I feel like it's a good mental challenge. It's also a good technical challenge to get your lighting skills up to where they should be. And it helps you kind of stay active and problem solving in the off season. And then you're able to bring that into your wedding season, which hopefully we'll see how the wedding season goes leading up. It's a bit of nervous energy around right now. Yeah, number 3. Number 3 is to take this time. If you're, I guess this only applies if you're shooting a digital SLR. If you're shooting mirrorless, you're fine. If you're shooting a digital SLR, the lenses that you get, chances are they need to be a little bit fine-tuned. So autofocus fine-tuning is basically just like, it's going to be maybe just not quite as perfect as it could be because the autofocus line is just not where it should be. And if you spend the time with just either one of the charts, I don't really love using the charts, I just like to use something like an image on a cereal box or something, and just focus on that, and then running through all the different micro corrections and figuring out where your lenses are actually the best. You will thank yourself in the future when all of your lenses are like, wow, this is just way sharper than last year. So spend the time now while you have the downtime, because it's not the most fun thing in the world. If it is fun for you, that's awesome. I don't personally find it the most fun, so I do it whenever I just have nothing else to do, and I feel like we're kind of moving into one of those times right now. So AF, fine-tune your lenses if you're still shooting a digital SLR. All right, tip number 4, not 8, just number 4, is I think the most important tip, and it is beyond just photography. This is the time that you should use to take your business to the next level. So you should be using this time right now that you have to relax, to not be maybe at work as often. You're able to work from home, whatever it might be. If you are able to invest those hours into your wedding photography business, they will pay off 10x, 20x, whatever. They pay off at an exponential rate rather than just kind of working for an hourly paycheck. That's one of the reasons that I love photography, is that changes that I do now, if I build a great business now, it helps me out for the rest of my life. And if I make one small change now, for instance, I start offering hybrid video photo coverage at weddings, that has a significant increase in my bottom line. And that wasn't something that anyone told me to do. I just started doing it, and I guess it's trial and error. You figure out what works, you carry forward whatever seems to be working, whatever seems to be making you money into the future. Now, a bit of a warning, I guess. Right now, you're probably going to be creating into a little bit of a vacuum. You're probably not going to be booking a wedding 3 months away because the world is a bit of an uncertain place right now. But what I can tell you is that if you are ready to go once everybody starts feeling more normal again and everybody gets back to working, back to going outside, that you really will be ahead of the competition. And this is a time that you can devote those moments and add them up into a future awesome business of your choice. So I guess to speak a little bit about this and how I started, that I did micro stock photography back when I was just trying to pay for lenses. And I probably invested in the first 100 hours, I probably was paid maybe $5 total. But that has continued to pay off since then. So I uploaded my gallery like 10 years ago, maybe even more now, on all the different sites, and I have still continued to make money since then. So that was what I did. I feel like that market is a very challenging place to make money right now, but to carry that idea forward into, say, weddings or portraits, if I am focused and I am making all of the right choices, you can actually go on my Patreon. There's a lot of different ways that you can just like actively create marketing material right now for a better 2020/2021. If you're creating that better marketing material right now with your free time and you're able to put that out into the world, you are going to be off to a head start once the world starts getting back to a more normal place. You can also take this time to redesign your website or design the most ideal website. That if you're trying to build that site in July when you're busy shooting weddings every single weekend, it is just a challenging thing to do. Now that you can sit back, learn everything you can about search engine optimization and learn everything you can about designing a good website that a user will actually enjoy, that is actually going to get them to the contact page to contact you, because at the end of the day, that's what your website should be there for. A website should really only be there to get somebody to arrive, to know that you're on the same page, that you connect, that you're an ideal client photographer relationship, and then get to the contact page as fast as possible. So if you can redesign that stream and you can go maybe into the analytics and see how people click around your site, you're going to be in a much better place going into the fall. Some more tips in the back end of your business: if you take this time now to put together some sort of client management system. If you're using Google, I might suggest that you actually spend this time putting everything into a specific CMS style system. There's a lot out there. There's Shootproof and Honeybook and Sprout and Tave and a bunch of others, and figure out which one works the best for you. I feel like they all have positives and negatives. And if you set up all your email templates and you get everything kind of ready to go, it will really make your future life better. And to use this time right now that maybe you can't be actively out there taking pictures, if you can make your future life more efficient, I think that it's great time invested. Remember that we also play the long game. So if you need to make money next weekend, don't try to sell a portrait session for next weekend or a portrait day or a family day, because people are going to they're not going to want to do it right now. But if you announce that, hey, you're doing a half price or 40% off 10 sessions, family sessions in July on this specific date, people might be a little bit more comfortable with booking that far out, or even into August, September, when they know that everything's going to be back to normal. So you can do that and play that long game, and you can figure out if you want to take deposits now or you want to take full payment now, or whatever the balance might be for you to get you through this uncertain period. All right, that's all for today. If you want to join up to my Patreon, maybe that's a bonus tip, I guess, is that if you want to join up to my Patreon, there is just so much stuff on there. So there's hundreds of hours of content that you're able to instantly have access to for $30. So if you sign up, you can just sign up right now, $30, and then you can have instant access to everything that I've ever put up there, which means you get an off-camera lighting course and a pricing course on my contract and all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of content up there. There's a lot of podcasts. There's a weekly podcast. It's Q&A, so you can just ask me any questions you might have, and I get back to you every single week. So yeah, sign up over there if you're interested, if you have some time to spare over the next little bit. It's definitely a really incredible investment. I put a lot of hard work into that space to make it as good and as helpful as it can possibly be. And I feel like all 1,000+ monthly members are very, very happy overall. So yeah, head over there if you're interested in spending a lot more time on the business side of your photography business, specifically a wedding photography business, over the next couple of months or couple of weeks, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't last too long, but yeah, who knows? Hopefully you found this helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. So yeah, have a great day, and I hope that you are staying safe wherever you are in the world.